Hi everyone, welcome to Battlechat number 7, and this is your host Henry Hyde. I just wanted to preface the following interview, which is with Will Townshend of Plastic Soldier Company / PSC Games, which was recorded earlier today on a bright, hot June summer's day in the warehouse of his factory out in Henfield in Sussex. And listening back to the interview, clearly I was affected slightly by hay fever because I sniff quite frequently, and I just wanted to apologise for that and hope that it doesn't interfere with your enjoyment of the show, because we just sat down on a couple of steel chairs in the warehouse next to a plastic table with my laptop on it and the microphone next to that. It was all recorded as one track, so I wasn't able to go back in and edit my side of the conversation to get rid of the blooming sniffing. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the interview. I think you'll find it fascinating, and here's the show. Well, hello everyone. This is your host Henry Hyde, and today I'm out at the premises of Plastic Soldier Company PSC Games, and I'm here with PSC Games Supremo, or whatever we want to call him, the maestro himself, Will Townshend. Hello, Will.
Hello, Henry. Hello, everyone.
How are you, Will?
I'm very good. It's Friday.
Friday.
The sun is shining. We're all happy.
Fantastic. And have you recovered from UK Games Expo?
No.
Right. Well, we'll talk about UK Games Expo a bit later. But anyway, I imagine by now all my listeners and the general public to whom this will be available eventually are by now, if they're not aware of Plastic Soldier Company and PSC Games, they must have been living in a shed at the bottom of the garden for the last... How long has it been, Will? Must have been about...
God, it's...
10 years nearly?
It feels like 150 years, but in real years, we're coming up for 10 years.
I was going to say, because I think you and I first met at the Redoubt show in Eastbourne.
I remember it, yes.
That must have been about 2009-ish?
No, it's before that, I think.
Was it? 2008, maybe?
I think I was there as Chiltern Miniatures.
That's right,
before I started Plastic Soldier Company. Yeah. So that was... Plastic Soldier Company was incorporated in 2008. And we launched our first kit in 2009.
Wow.
So, yes.
So it might have been like early 2008. I'm trying to remember.
Or even before that.
2007, maybe.
2006, 2007.
Well, I started Battlegames magazine in 2006. So I think that was probably 2007 then.
Yes.
That we met at the Redoubt show in the Martello Tower on Eastbourne Seafront. A show that sadly no longer exists.
I know, a shame. It was a lovely old show, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, it was weird.
Until it rained.
Yes. And the other problem was, it was great because as a war game, it was great because all the games were in that kind of big circle around the outside, weren't they?
Yeah.
Next to all the museum exhibits.
Yes.
But the trouble was getting the public to come in.
Yes, it was a sort of a very tinkery little niche show, wasn't it? Bless it. And because it's only half an hour away for us both, it was a very easy show to do, and I've still got family in Eastbourne, so it was a bit of a jolly, really.
Yeah, I used to love it, except either when it got really windy, because the wind it made sort of a vortex in the middle of that circle of buildings, or when it got hot, it was just baking.
Yes, it would trap the heat, wouldn't it?
Absolutely baking. Anyway, fond memories.
Yes,
so that
indeed.
was 2007 or so we met, and you, as you say, you were running a stand for Chiltern Miniatures, and I can't remember if I came over and said hello to you or vice versa. But we got chatting, and you said, "Oh, interesting, a magazine." And I think you said, "Oh, do you do other sorts of design?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, magazines is a relatively new thing for me. I've been designer for forever." He said, "Oh, don't suppose you're interested in doing corporate identity, are you?" And I said, "Yeah, that's kind of my bread and butter." And that's how we got together and started talking about the Plastic Soldier Company identity.
Yes.
Over your kitchen table here in Henfield, as I recall.
I do remember, yeah.
And that was
scribbling,
that's right. And the interesting thing was, I remember that I was just doodling, wasn't I? You were talking, I was getting to describe what kind of feel and vibe you want to put across, what's the company going to be doing and stuff, and you're saying kind of, it's the new Airfix and all the rest of it. And I just doodled this thing with the plastic soldier inside a sprue frame, didn't I, in pencil, along with some other things. And he said, I like that. And I said, look, be careful, that this is just a doodle, I need to spend some time thinking about other alternatives because that might just be too obvious. And in the end, that is what we came back to.
And it was brilliant. I have to say, Henry, that was inspired. And I think it's a very good, emblematic, totemic, whatever the word is, it sums it up. I remember going back, actually, I think maybe in the same conversations or meetings, and I'd been struggling to find, what should we have? Lancer miniatures, there's Lancer miniatures, Hussar figures, all these fancy, fluffy, and hell, the Plastic Soldier Company does what it says on the tin. What do we do? So, yes, the Plastic Soldier Company was born, and then you created that wonderful sprue image thing, which sums it all up. And yes, here we are today.
It's actually proved one of the most durable logos I've ever designed as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I still look at it 9-10 years later nearly now, and it's like, God, actually, that worked. As you say, it does what it says on the tin. So, obviously, that was a conversation you and I had back in the day.
Yes.
Perhaps it would be nice to tell the listeners, the vision, the dream you had for the company when you were setting up, and why. Why come along and be the Plastic Soldier Company when there's already Airfix, Tamiya,
I'm not sure I can remember. The vision changes every day, changes every month. Way back when, this was sort of, just to give a very brief history, it was mid-2000s, things were not good out there. The sort of other businesses and what have you, it was not good. So let's dip in and do something short-term, part-time, money into the household. And I thought, gamer, wargaming, love it. Let's see whether I can tinker along with a little wargames business. So put feelers out there, adverts, I'd like to buy a company. And I bought children miniatures and mainly military resin scenery. And then it was only going to be a short-term plan, just until the markets came back and everything came back and I could go back to the real world, real business, real life, real job. And me, being a well-spoken Arthur Daly, can't help myself that when I start to get into something, spotting opportunities. So it was a real lovely fusion of my passion, my hobby, with business. And, just running little Chiltern miniatures, casting in my shed. And Anita, who's still with me, bless her, casting the resin stuff. It's a day a week. And so her son is friends with my stepson. Anyway, so it sort of, we were tinkering along, doing the shows and stuff, and I'd bought Chiltern miniatures from Julian
Blakeney Edwards,
who Victrix and Valiant.
Yeah.
And I was selling Victrix and Valiant plastics, and lots of people saying to me, Valiant, are they going to do Russians, and are they going to resize them, and various other bits and pieces. And I used to sell armour fast, so I used to sell lots of resin vehicles, 20mm Ravensthorpe ready to roll. And this was about the time that hard plastic was really was hitting the wargames market. We had all the soft plastic and the modelling market, the Airfix and Italia Revel that people do game with, but this was the hard plastic revolution.
Yeah, Perry's were starting to do stuff. Victrix and Warlord.
Yeah. Exactly. And I sniffed opportunities there, and Julian and I, still friendly. We were talking, and there was talk with him and Colin Rumford. Maybe I was going to invest in Valiant, become a partner of Valiant, maybe do something with Victrix with Julian. In the end, it was like, I think I can have a crack at this myself. So from knowing absolutely nothing about plastics, and some people argue I don't know much more now 10 years later, I've found tool engineers, factories, designers, understood. I've been fiddling around with CAD design and wanting to see whether I could produce a range of 20mm and 50mm and maybe in 28mm, because I hadn't really hit the scene yet, but mainly 50mm, 20mm resin vehicles, doing a CAD design and then using that same design to scale up and down in resin. And then just trying to get my thoughts in order. We used a factory in the UK to do our first ever 172nd Russian infantry. So my mind was very much thinking, well, Colin didn't want to do Russians because he didn't like Russians, so I thought, well, I'll do 172nd hard plastic Russians that will fit with Valiant and fit that little sort of niche of the market everyone was asking, and to kind of test the market. Let's see how it goes. And my thought was only ever 172nd 20mm hard plastic figure kits, and we're going to roll a few of those out. And chance meeting with another UK company that were done stuff for Games Workshop, was doing stuff for Colin, was for Valiant, and this, that, and the other. And I don't know how the conversation went, but they saw the 20mm Russians. I was telling them about my vehicle kit stuff, and they said, "Well, we could tool vehicles for you. Why don't we have a go at that?" So, from what my first oh no, I won't do vehicles. Actually, why don't we have a go? And 15mm plastic plastic vehicles, Flames of War, just beginning to really get rolling, but with resin. And seeing that Armourfast were doing a cracking job providing easy assembly wargamers plastic kits that modelers will also buy as well, but mainly aimed at the gaming market, which as we know is a niche but strong little hobby market. So I kind of sort of transferred all my let's CAD vehicles up and do them in resin to let's CAD them up and do them in plastic. So again, a bit of a sort of chance meeting and a bit of a swerve, and it's like, oh, let's try. So we our little T34 that we've been fiddling with in resin, we converted them to do a proper plastic kit. And I think we did the 172nd T34, still selling well now, and it was like, let's downscale it. Let's give it a go. Well, why not? Bosh. I mean, we've sold more T34s than were ever made ever. And it sort of took off from there. And it was, I think you have to be nimble on your feet. So that's why, only half jokingly, vision changes as you go along.
Of course it does. Has to.
Because, the hobby trends change, business changes, everything changes. So you have to be prepared to sway with the wind. And yes, it's done us proud. So the vision has altered, and now we're producing mainly plastic kits. The idea was that we were going to do 15, 20mm and 28mm. World War II,
I know,
and then branching out. Do you remember the little emblem logo? So there was World War II for. I mean, God, I had quite a grand vision back there those days. Tempered slightly over the time. There's only so much that you can do and that the market can take. But still to this day, churning out World War II mainly with some modern stuff, plastic kits. With a few figure kits, but mainly vehicle kits, and doing it 15mm first, then 20mm. 28mm is bolt action, Boardgames, Rubicon territory, and it's a small market, and you can't. There are areas where you can't have more than one or two big players. And you can't do everything. So choose your areas. I mean, we've done very well because Flames of War has done very well. That's I make no bones about it. We've hung on their coattails for a long time, and I could never understand why it took them so long to realise that we were eating from their table, I was gonna say, stealing food from their plate, and it's that's conversations for off the camera. But eventually they obviously realised that they needed to compete properly, which is good for the consumer.
Of course, it is.
And I think it's it's made prices. It's competition is healthy, for both business and for consumers, and I think that competition has helped. And it's certainly, I know that the Flames of War with their version 4. I want to see a healthy Flames of War community, Flames of War market, and the way I see it, I mean, we created our battle group series of rules and books because it's. Make no bones about it. Rule sets sell miniatures.
I mean, something I want to say there was certainly that people in the wargaming community, I think, were staggered that it took battle groups so long to wake up, Battlefront rather, so long to wake up to, hello, there's PSC is just gobbling up huge chunks of our market because people are looking at, okay, I can get one Flames of War tank for this money, or I can get 6 PSC tanks or whatever it was in a box, 5, 6 tanks in the box. So, I think that was remarkable that, and good for you, obviously, that you saw that opportunity and took it. The other thing I wanted to ask was: is it still the case then that 15mm is the biggest selling range?
No,
it's not.
No, it's changed. Not sort of seismic, but it's changed a lot over the last few years. We were selling hand over fist 15mm stuff until Flames decided that we were serious competition on product, and it's. 20mm 1 second was very much the sort of poor relation. And
but I remember it was your first love though, wasn't it? Like mine.
Oh yeah. It still is. To me, everyone hears me joke about it. It's God's own scale. It's Goldilocks scale. But again, don't. I'll start ranting. So don't poke me too hard. I do get irritated with the element of the hobby that become very vocally defensively rabid. That this is the only scale, this is the only rule set, and everything else is rubbish. And which is
that's crazy.
Horses for courses, I play some games and others I don't play because I don't like them subjectively. Doesn't mean that they're bad games or bad products or whatever.
Personal preference.
Personal preference. Sometimes that gets a bit clouded and lost with certain elements of the market.
But I would say that's true of every period and every scale, not just World War II stuff.
Yes.
And I think you're right there, because would it be fair to say in recently with rule sets like Chain of Command, for example, and What a Tanker, that 1/72 is making a big comeback.
It certainly is, and yes, I mean we always felt that, being honest, that we were slightly squeezed in the middle of Warlord Games and 28mm, bigger company, bigger resources, bigger marketing punch, and the same with the Flames guys on the other side, so 15mm and 28mm, and we're sandwiched between the two. We don't have sugar daddies, so it's. But very much that our battle group is mainly aimed at 20mm. So it's a neat segmentation of the market, isn't it? Bolt action 28mm, Chain of Command, and then you got 15mm Flames of War. Other rule sets I know, but just in generalities, we were fitting that sort of middle ground of 20mm. But saying to people that they could play our battle group. Plays just as well in 15mm. People played in 6mm, 10mm, 28mm. And I think I don't know whether this is just me rambling on a Friday morning. But I think there's more people possibly playing bolt action than let's say bolt action, because Chain of Command doesn't have a miniatures range to go with it. But maybe there are more people playing bolt action in 20mm than with, say, like you using our stuff,
that's interesting.
Than Flames of War players playing Flames of War in 20mm. But I don't know. It's all. I think that it does blur across the scales. But you see, you've got those general thing. 20mm sales are definitely much stronger than they were.
Interesting.
And we have seen a pickup of the Battle Group series. Is doing very well, and doing better in recent times. And I think there has been a slight fallout from the Flames of War version 4. Sure. And with that, I mean, I don't know. I think there's a slight a slight fragmentation of the miniatures market at the moment.
But hasn't there always been?
Yes, true.
You get these big surges, and then you find, let's have a game of Battle Group this, and you turn up with your 15 mils, but he's turned up with his 20 mils or 6 mils or whatever. I think that's just one of those things that happens with hobbies in general, fragmentation eventually.
Yes, I think there's sort of degrees of fragmentation.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems to me at the moment that there's always the cult of the new, the new wave, and we all love the new shinies. We all have our consistent, interests and periods that we love and scales, and that sort of rolls on. But there's always this is the new thing, the new wave. Wham!
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just on Twitter lately, the Two Fat Lardies water tanker rules is everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I jokingly went on and said, anyone who thinks someone's come out with a new set of tank-only rules, because there's just so many people posting, and you've been one of the major beneficiaries, I can see. Oh, yes, my PSC T-34s, Panthers, whatever it is, Stugs have arrived, and they're all frantically painting and airbrushing. And I mean, actually, there's been some amazing work being done. People recording what they're doing, which is amazing.
So it's funny. So I had some long discussions and meetings with Richard, and we were going to do something together.
Right.
But it just so we've got so much on.
Absolutely.
And it just didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
So I way back over a year ago now, 18 months ago, I remember in this warehouse playing a game with Richard.
Really?
And it was good fun.
Oh yeah, he's a bloke, and he's a real fella.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, just out of curiosity, schoolboy curiosity. So, what actually has been your best-selling armoured fighting vehicle? Has it been a?
I think the Panzer IV has nipped in on the T-34, partly because it was the second vehicle we ever did.
Yeah,
so it's been selling the longest. But also it's German, and German like Space Marines. You're always going to sell 2 German kits for every one Allied or whatever.
Yes,
but probably
because it makes you wonder, who do they fight against? If there's so many more people are buying Germans than British, I mean, they're having lots of games of Germans versus Germans. Curious, isn't it?
There must be stockpiles somewhere. Yeah.
Tell me about you. Obviously, we've mentioned again along the battle group rules and your association with Warwick Kinraid, the author of. Yes. How did that come about?
God, how can I dredge that out of the memory? Again, it's me getting the scent of an idea and an opportunity in my nostrils.
Didn't you meet him at a show or something?
No. We I'm just trying to get the timeline. It's a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I realised that I wanted to be big and grown up like Battlefront and Warlord, and knew that to really help sell plastic kits, sell our products, I wanted to have my own rule system.
Yeah.
And I thought, I like 20mm. I think personally 20mm is the ideal scale for World War II gaming. And I could see that there was a gap in the market. I've played Blitzkrieg Command. I used to love that. I think you and I played Blitzkrieg Command.
Yeah.
And I used to play Rapid Fire. I used to love Rapid Fire. But there were certain things about Rapid Fire that never fully fulfilled me.
Yeah.
As I think with other people. And I don't know how I stumbled across Kampfgruppe Normandy that Warwick had done. He was the author. It was published by Warhammer Historical.
Yes.
And he'd worked at Forge World and Games Workshop for donkey's years. And he'd just been made redundant. Join the queue. It was his turn, as they all are. And he... Just trying to get my thoughts in order here, because, yes, it was around that time. It was one of the last games that they produced before they decided to close it and shelve it. And I did have an interesting chat with... I can't remember his name. One of the bigwigs there, seeing whether I could buy Warhammer Historical.
Maybe Rob Broom or someone.
No. It was Tony... I'll say Tony Curtis, but no. Anyway, it was whoever it was. But could I license it? Could I buy it? Could I do... And it was like, no, we're not going to do anything with it, but we're not going to do anyone else to do it. So it's going to shelve it. So that's fine, okay. And I just thought, well, Warwick is probably worth finding, seeking out and having a chat with. So I did. And long story short, Kampfgruppe Normandy was a good rule set, and it was a nicely produced book, as they all were.
Yeah.
But of course, it was dead. It was moribund.
Yeah.
So Warwick was. Can I swear?
Go ahead, and I might bleep it out.
Off.
Yeah.
Well, he was pissed off.
Yeah.
That he'd been told that because it's his love.
Yeah.
And he'd been told that he could produce this rule set and then roll out the supplements.
Yeah.
Get the whole range over the. And then he was made redundant, and the whole thing was shelved, and it was shoddy, and he felt pissed off and aggrieved. So I said, well, why don't we create Son of? Where it wasn't quite right, so Kampfgruppe Normandy becomes Battle Group.
Yeah.
And so we did. And you can see the DNA,
of course.
But we obviously took our legal advice, shall we say? But and I said, Warwick, would you do this for me? And he was like, well, my baby. So I said, okay, let's form a company. If you want skin in the game or part of the action, whatever.
Yeah.
So Warwick and I formed Iron Fist Publishing. As a separate company, half each, and we sort of ran things through then, with Plastic Soldier being the sort of front end sales, distribution, what have you. But I have fingers in both pies, and we did that for a long time. And Piers joined us fairly soon afterwards. In terms of, he's a very active, vocal. Hobbyist, and he loved Kampfgruppe Normandy, so loved Battle Group, and very quickly became invaluable to Warwick in helping him play test, write. He became a valued member of the team.
Well, he's been very active online,
very, and still is, and still and will be. So Piers is very much a part of Battle Group. So anyway, we're churning out the books for the number of years now, and. We've got, I can't remember how many books now. We've got
about 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's 6 or 7. We're producing about 2 a year, one big, one small. A year. And again, long story short, last year, just over a year ago, basically Iron Fist ceased to be its own entity, and if you like, Plastic Soldier Company bought Iron Fist.
Gotcha.
Bought Warwick out, and Warwick has come to. He's now, if you like, within Plastic Soldier Company, beavering away producing books, and does a bit
He's
of
prolific, actually.
design.
I mean, hats off to him. I mean, he's cranked out a fair chunk of stuff in recent years.
As I've just realised something about that, but it's really only been, it's not really been interesting to anyone else. But yeah, Warwick does a bit of design work for us on the side as well. So it's kind of wrapped up in, he's come to work for us full time. And writing books is his main thing, but it's kind of like it made sense. He does ads and banners and stuff like that. But anyway, that's between you and I. Anyway, so he's cranking the stuff out, and he does some board game design for us as well. But that's moving away because Battle Group has always been World War II, and unashamedly. Again, a strong Flames of War, Battlefront, Team Yankee, a bit like Games Workshop. We all benefit from strong players that help the market, and the guys have done really well with Team Yankee, so they've stimulated interest in Cold War. So lots of interest in Cold War. We produced some 15mm plastic kits for Cold War that are selling really well, and felt like they produced some very good plastic kits themselves, and they're way ahead. So there was no point in me going head to head. Because they've already produced, quite a lot of 15mm plastic Team Yankee Cold War modern kits. So it was like a lot of people asking us, when are you going to do a Battle Group Cold War, a modern version of Battle Group? A lot of people out there. So it was like, okay.
Just interject, I find that really interesting because as I think I've told you before, Cold War leaves me, pardon the pun, me cold.
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's because, I don't know, it's something to do with having grown up in that era where we were actually quaking in our beds thinking, is the world going to end tomorrow?
And same here. But I've become quite interested in the Cold War, and maybe again because it's almost like passed beyond.
Yeah,
it's over. It's in the past.
Absolutely.
It's become history now.
Yeah,
So 1980s reforgery type thing has become. It doesn't feel quite so current.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it? That the Cold War is become a very hot subject. So taking that on board and looking for the next new thing, something new, because as I say, we're in a small hobby market, and you've got to find new projects, new things to be doing, to keep people interested. And it was okay. All right, okay. Let's do a North Ag. This is what's going to be called North Ag. So we've been working on this for some months now, and as I'm wont to do, I get all enthusiastic and get creative. My staff hate it when I kind of go, I've got a great idea. You see their shoulders slump. Thinking,
look,
Will's got another idea.
Will the butterflies fluttered in?
How can we steer him away? Which is why I've got people like Dan and Claire.
Yes, of course.
They all sort of like rein me in.
Yeah.
So I remember actually it was Piers I was talking to, and he was like, "Oh Christ!" But what I was thinking was that my thinking was Cold War, North Ag. Team Yankees 15mm. They've got some good plastic. No silly to try and ape and go toe to toe with them. To me, again, it's all about scale. Cold War the scale should be going down. Yeah. As everyone's got that standard 6x4 table or 5x4, whatever, 6x4, and it's 20mm is too big. I've got some lovely Arab-Israeli 20mm armies, which I love, but I'm not sure how many times they're going to see outings on the table. But 15mm, okay, better, but still a 15mm Abrams is a chunky old beast on the table. And then you think, okay, 10mm. Never really engaged with 6mm. GHQ armour is lovely. Oh yes, but I can't see it. It's too small. It's cockroachy, isn't it? Hordes of cockroaches running around, and I go, what the hell's that? Was that a Hummer or a T-74? So 6mm doesn't really do it for me personally. Although I know that a lot of people do like 6mm. And 6mm is a good modern scale. But 10mm. Going for that Goldilocks scale. You've got the size, a bit of detail you can paint.
And also look at the success of people like Pendraken.
I've got some lovely Pendraken armies of different periods. I love their stuff. But they're not sort of well covered for modern and Cold War. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, let's do something new here. So let's go our own scale. And Warwick had always said to me, I think we'd had a drunken chat over some beers at a show somewhere, and I was like, oh yeah, modern, I'd always want to do that personally in 10mm. So little things stick in your mind like burrs. And I thought, hell yeah, 10mm plastic. And there was the Lord of the Rings did that 6mm, 10mm plastic. Games Workshop epic.
War of the Ring.
Yes. Yeah, it can be done. Yes. We can do it. We've got a lot of CAD data here. We can do it. Okay, right. So, long story short, what we're doing, we're building up for Battle Group North Ag next year. Yeah. And it's going to be a 10mm focused battle system. Wow. So it's not Battle Group as you know at the moment, and the bits like working title, we might sort of do another little bit of titling that will differentiate it from Battle Group as it is at the moment. And basically it's going to be a slightly more streamlined Battle Group system, taking away some of the things that we've got in the current sort of 20mm focused rules, that will make it an easier game to play your 2 to 3 hour, let's say 6x4 table, where you've got maybe 30 to 40 vehicles on the table, not 10 to 15 to 20 20mm. So we're streamlining that down.
I'm glad you said 10mm, because you earlier on you were saying we'll come up with our own scale, and I was thinking, oh god, he's going to do 8.5
13 mil. No, it's that's a good point. No, I've seen people try that before, and it's just come up with you, but within the parameters of what there is.
Because I was just going to interject the Perry twins, of course, with their brilliant little travel battle thing, which is actually 8mm.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's not 6, it's not 10, it's 8.
It's 8.
Is it an in-betweeny one? Why not?
You can do that if you're starting to cross over into board games.
Yeah.
Yes, but on the miniature side of things, definitely, we're
it makes
sticking
sense
with
to
what
be
there
more
is.
compatible, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. So, and there are other things that really fit with it. 10 mil. Well, we're being very clear that our 10 mil. You can play it with anything, but we want people to play it in 10 mil to buy our new 10 mil plastic sets we're going to produce. And there were two or three other little things that sort of popped into my mind. I don't know why, but I've got on my shelf. I had a very odd little Revel kit. Well, there were two.
Yeah.
And they did this. Somebody went and had a bit of a funny lunch or something, and came back and they've got two kits, and one's the Bundeswehr 1-144, and you get three vehicles on a sprue.
Yeah.
You get an M47 and a very odd-looking APC and a heavy truck. And I don't know what on earth they are. And then there's an American World War II with a Sherman, again a Deuce and a Half, and a Greyhound.
Right.
So you got three vehicles on a sprue, and they're not big sprues, so they're good, the standard box sizes. And I think, hello, three on a sprue. And also you've got all that lovely German railway modelling scenery stuff.
The Faller and
gorgeous, the Faller and Kibri and Volmer and all. They're beautiful. And I went to Nuremberg, the big toy show in January, and I had several meetings with German terrain model makers.
Did you now?
And let's just say we've got a very nice little deal waiting in the wings to go along with the company that own Kibri and Volmer, which is watch this space. So 10 mil, 1/160th.
Engage,
exactly. So you can create beautiful, and of course it's all North German planes.
Absolutely. That's a stroke of genius.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So that again, it's like tick, tick, tick. So we're working on 10 mil Battle Group North Ag with plastic kits, plastic starter set, the main stuff in plastic.
Wow.
And then probably a few little bits that will go metal resin that really aren't worth doing in plastic. But you can do an M60 with an M113 sprue that goes Israel, it's multi-purpose.
In my head, I'm imagining all these battles happening around railway stations for some reason.
Yes,
with the little civilians on the platform.
Yes, and the porter with his sack trolley and. They got some marvellous. Well, one of the companies that have got a marvellous brothel set.
A brothel set?
Which is brilliant.
Oh my God!
Because of course in Germany it's legal, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
And it's anyway. I'll go off
that's
on
an aside.
It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
So that's a big project for us next year.
Wow.
And it's just sort of teasing, really.
Yeah.
We've got 110 plus plastic kits. We've got a huge CAD library.
God, is it as much as that?
Yeah, mainly World War II. And you never know if 10 mil plastic North Ag Cold War goes as well as we hope it'll go. Then who's to say that we don't look at maybe doing it for World War II as well? Doing a sort of an epic 10 mil battle group slimmed down.
Wow.
10 mil plastic World War II there. So something different.
In that, actually.
Because
one of the things that listeners know that I've been sort of trying to settle on a rule set with my friend Guy, and it just seems that every time we play a game we find something about the rule set. Well, I'm not sure about that, or it doesn't quite suit the scale. It doesn't have the look we're looking for. We're a right couple of old buggers, really. Crotchety.
You and the whole the whole hobby. Yes.
Absolutely.
We're all the same,
always you're always tinkering or something. Yeah. But the thing is, one of the things that I love the 285th GHQ World War. I've got my early World War II Germans, and I absolutely adore them. I mean, how
we played Blitzkrieg Commander with your desert.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Lovely.
They're beautiful, beautiful little miniatures, but it's like they're great for conveying that sense of space, the empty battlefield where you really do get this impression of, I can believe that's a real battle, the ranges look right and all the rest of it. And it's often when you want to downscale to something that's kind of the company level, platoon level and so on, trying to find something that you get enough toys on the table, but it still looks right. I mean, I've never taken to 28mm as a scale for World War II because to me it's just like everything looks too close. It's too big. It's too close. 20mm, yes, I think it is in some respects a perfect scale for something like Chain of Command. Then there's that just one step up from that. Somewhere between that, and so 10mm sits in there rather beautifully. So that's fascinating. I mean, people are going to be blown away by that news about Cold War stuff, and even my ears are pricking up with battles around railway stations in Germany.
But also, I mean, I love my Arab-Israeli stuff.
Yeah, no, that's interesting as well.
That's going to be one of our
the 6 Day War and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Now that's really interesting because I think it was last year I first saw. You don't often see Arab-Israeli stuff at shows.
No.
But there was a guy who was doing Arab-Israeli battles. Was it in 2mm or 3mm? Okay. Looked absolutely amazing because he's landscaped everything beautifully. Absolute facsimile of the Golan Heights and all the rest of it. And these Arab and Israeli armoured groups and stuff that really looked like an aerial photograph. It was extraordinary. But I think this is one of those things that you're moving into a territory where, for various reasons, some people probably have misgivings about gaming stuff from that period. But we're old cronies. There's a whole younger generation coming along who, as you say, this is from way before they were even born.
This is history.
Absolutely. So I think that's really clever that you're seeing that there's potentially a market there. Just because obviously you've got a lot of your fans of your World War II stuff listening. What are your next plans for World War II kits? And what's the next, or is there going to be another Battle Group World War II book coming out in the near future?
Absolutely. We've just produced Torch, which is the second half of the main desert bit. So we had Tobruk first. We've
Torch is Tunisia and Sicily, isn't it?
Yes, so it's sort of 42, 43. Italy will be one of our small softback campaign settlements. That's going to be a year or two out. The next cab off the rank is, because we what we try and do a big hardback release for April for Salute, and then we do a smaller softback supplement around November. So the autumn smaller softback for this year is Hungary 45.
Oh wow!
Which both Piers and Warwick have an interest in. So that's what they're working on at the moment. And Warwick is very busy, bless him, on that and working up to. Timings might change slightly, but at the moment we're potentially looking at North Ag release at Salute next year. April.
Right, okay.
Pacific, World War II Pacific. Will be a big hardback for July time.
Okay.
So we're now into
we're going to see boxes
year.
of US Marines and Japanese and that kind of stuff.
No, it's all right. It's just being a bit clear banter. We'll see. Whether there will be products themed for Pacific, but it's we'll see where that goes. It's never been an interest of mine, but again, I'm getting interested. I think talking with Warwick and Piers about this and the other, and Warwick's ideas to flavour Battle Group Pacific, it's piquing my interest. So we'll see. You had to be careful with plastic, of course. You've got to sell volume. You've got to sell volume. So it and otherwise it has to be metal or resin. So
because I'm just thinking back to the old days with Airfix and remembering there was the US Marines, Japanese. Was there a Gurkha set as well? There was, wasn't there? And kits like the Buffalo.
Yes, I remember that
kind of thing. Landing craft, and so I mean, I agree that. For all sorts of reasons, the Pacific Theatre never really kind of stoked my fire, as it were, as a gamer. I have seen some amazing games at shows. People vast amounts of jungle airfields and chindits and all that kind of stuff. And because I think that's the thing, there's an appeal for stuff like the Chind, it's the same as people love the SAS or the Long Range Desert Group in the desert, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But I can also see where it's less of a mass market thing for you when you've got to pay for all that tooling and all the rest of it.
We'll see. I mean, the books do very well on their own, but they were primarily there to sell models.
I mean, in terms of World War II kits in either 15 or 20 mil, have you got anything else in the pipeline at the moment?
Always.
Oh, go on. Anything you could tell us about?
Well, everyone knows we've got the Sextons in 15 mil and 20 mil, SU-76 15 mil and 20 mil. The guys have nearly finished designing a Steyr heavy car, which I think, don't quote me on this, he says, famous last words. Everyone knows we try and get as many options as we can as commercially viable into our kits. You know, it's retailer friendly. It's better to have 4 or 5 options and 4 or 5 SKUs, and it's more expensive and shelf space. So we might do. It'll be a Steyr with a Mercedes sort of front end option. Okay. There were reasons why the Horch didn't work. I can't remember what they were now, but so that should be a good seller. That 15, 20 mil. We need to do a 20 mil. We've never done a 20 mil upscale 1/72 Tiger 1, and we've got a very very good 15 mil kit with all the early, mid, late, and not Zimmerrated. But anyway, so there's a couple of fill-ins there. Right. There's still quite a lot of stuff that needs doing. And there's quite a lot of stuff that want to do, but there is a sort of a tree low-hanging fruit, and you sort of have to go further up the tree. Sure. You have to start to say to yourself, is it worth doing? It generally is, because we do that. We've got that sharing 2 scales, so the CAD design, our guys have got it down to a fine art. You design a 15 mil first, and then they know what they have to do to get up to 20 mil quite quickly. So that makes sense. So you would think twice if you just did 1 scale.
And of course, some of these things that you're mentioning here are going to have longevity as products. Of course, something mentioning a Tiger 1, it's really, wow, that's...
Everyone has to have a Tiger.
Everyone has to have at least one, particularly with rule sets like Water Tanker out, seeing...
Oh, that's true, yes,
building
of course. Them.
Okay, I mean, the other thing that happened a few years ago was this sudden thing, by the way, Henry, can we tweak the logo? PSC Games.
Ah, yes.
And everyone went, what? How did that come about? I mean, what was the inspiration for that, and what drove that?
I like playing board games. I joke, but many true words said in jest. Actually, it was, again, partly down to you introducing me to Commands and Colours.
Oh, of course, GMT Games.
A few years ago. And really up until then, board games to me were Risk when I was a student. Or other times when a student it was Strip Twister with vodka jelly.
Let's not go there.
Cluedo, Monopoly, all that.
The classic parlour game.
Did a bit of. I touched onto board games as a kid before I did the old classic. Got lost to the hobby. It wasn't cool to be a gamer. So girls and stuff took over. But when I did play a lot of Kingmaker. Still love Kingmaker.
Oh, interesting.
And tinker with some Avalon Hill titles, and I can't remember some of the other ones.
Did you ever play Squad Leader or anything like that?
No, I had it open the box, and I think I gave up. I know you used to play Squad Leader. Russian Campaign, that was a good one. Avalon Hill, I still love that. I still got that at home somewhere. So I sort of flirted a bit with old school old school board games, you had Avalon Hill stuff. But things have changed a lot in the intervening years. And yes, it was a chance. You showed me Commands and Colours, and absolutely loving it. And then begin to play more games, more modern war games, more strategy games. Lots of Commands and Colours, which I also play with my miniatures. You and I have had many.
You even took part in a competition in the States, didn't you?
God. Yes. Richard Borg made me go and play in the Ancients tournament, bless him. He said, go and have some fun. That was when I was launching the first board game at World Board Games Championships. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I can't remember that. And bless him, he said, you can't just work all this. Go have some fun. Go and join. So because he was obviously involved in organising it, I got absolutely trounced. It was hysterical because I'd used to playing you and I playing our fun games.
Yeah.
And it was a whole new experience with these grizzled, bit joyless, really.
Yeah, people who are out to win the tournament.
And I think I got absolutely trounced on the first game, but realised, so well, if that's the way you play, then okay. So the next game was close, and then the third game was even closer. And I think I still claim to this day I could have, the usual commands colours thing on turns on a sixpence, wafer thin, and I lost all 3 games, but I learned quite quickly. I'm not sure I'm cut out to be a tournament player. Sometimes I think I wouldn't mind having a go. I can see the appeal of tournaments. But generally, I'm a social gamer. And
one of the things that I've noticed in highly competitive Commands and Colours play, whereas you and I used to play friendly games, and we'd bash up a unit and it's retreated, and right, okay, I'm going to go and do something else now. Tournament players, I'm going to hunt that unit down and exterminate it. And get the command flag.
Very robot-like almost. Yes. Now they're really playing for the win, which is we play
Fair
games
enough.
to win. I wouldn't want to. I don't like but it's a balance between the wanting to win and enjoying playing.
Yeah.
And but one of the lovely things about Commands and Colours games is even if you lose, you never feel too downhearted, if that makes sense.
Sure.
You always, because they're always so well balanced. I don't think there's been very few games where you just felt, I can't win. I think apart from Tutor Bartevald, I still can't. I've got a mental block with that. We've tried every other way, and I know. It's the only thing I cannot. But anyway, generally, all Commands and Colours games, they're always very close. Yeah. And you never know really until the last minute which one of you is going to win.
And even if there are those moments, you can always say, well, it was down to the cards. I had a rubbish hand of cards. It wasn't because I was a rubbish general, and I didn't humiliate myself. Yeah. And often that is the case. At the end of a game, you'll be sympathetic towards your opponent because I had quite a decent run of cards there, and you had a really rubbish run of cards.
It's that perfect sweet spot with any game, a board game or a miniatures game, where you feel there's just enough luck that if you do lose, you can go, oh well, hell, I've lost because I got the wrong cards, I threw the wrong dice. But there's enough skill in it, and some games just don't do that. There's too much. It's too much crunchy simulation, and there's no fog of war with the luck. And others are too chance heavy. So that's why I love Commands and Colours.
One of the things, just before we finish talking about Commands and Colours, that I've realised, because Guy and I have been experimenting lately, is you have to have good scenario design, though.
Yes.
Because if you just try and set up a game and play it with the Commands and Colours rules, it can be a complete disaster.
Yes.
As we've found out, it's like, that really didn't work.
Yeah.
One side really didn't seem to have a chance there. The other side just did a walkout. So actually, I've come to appreciate the guys who are involved in the scenario design around Richard Borg and the play testing they do to make sure that actually that is a playable scenario.
He has a very good team.
Yeah, he must do, because it's really tricky, and the way that they take a historical. Because sometimes you look at the Command and Colours board, then the way it's set up, and you think, is that really Salamanca? Yeah. But actually, they've abstracted it very, very cleverly to make sure actually, even if it doesn't look exactly right, after all, we're on hexes, it's not free running. We've made it so that the right things can happen. It's, really clever. The Command and Colours inspiration. I mean, obviously that was. Instrumental. I mean, steering it. There's a big crate next to me here that obviously listeners can't see with the Great War on it. And so, how did that? I mean, your love of Commands and Colours, and then you met Richard Borg, and this then morphed suddenly into. Oh, by the way, Henry, we're doing this massive thing.
Yes, but in a word, it's a combination again of I was really appreciating board games. Yeah, and I'm a jobbing gamer. If there's such thing as an average gamer. So, I'm a butterfly and I move things in there. But I think really my eyes were open to the fun you can have with Boardgames, and the coming from the miniatures military wargamer side, there's some fantastic wargames out there, and it was like, well, they're not all those not awful. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Those very in-depth, crunchy squad leader type things that take you 7 days to play, and you get your wife divorces you because you take no time on the table. To the sort of modern Euro style area movement, not the little hexes, fast play, fun, and I thought, hang on a sec. Alongside this renaissance in board gaming, which is fascinating,
yes,
in the 80s and 90s, every prophet trumpeting the death of the board game because video games were taking over, and it hasn't happened.
Now people are opening board game cafes.
Absolutely, and it's kind of symbiotic. There's a movement away. Even my stepson, who's to be found spending hours and hours on his Xbox, is understanding the joy of playing with mates and a few beers, playing Zombicide, and he's played a couple of other crunchier games with me and really enjoyed it. His girlfriend hates me now. I think so. I'm turning him to the dark side, and his mother's not keen either. Don't turn him into a nerd. So I said, too late. Geek chic, this, as you say, is becoming more mainstream, and it's a social interaction. Board games generally have exploded in the last few years or so. So combined with that, I can see that. Long story short, I'm seeing commercial opportunities.
Of course.
And, where can we grow the Plastic Soldier Company? We could, trog along World War II plastic kits, miniatures. But the miniatures market, by its very nature, is always going to have limits, and it's going to be a niche within a niche. Gaming is hot as a whole. And in gaming, there are niches. So the miniatures market is benefiting from the golden age of gaming generally, but it has its limits. It's only going to be getting so far. There's only so many hobby pounds, and that's why about this cult of the new, finding something different, something new. I have seen and am seeing and think that there are bigger markets to reach in the board game industry. So create a sub-brand of Plastic Soldier Company, PSC Games, so it's linked but separate, and can be separated if need be in the future. But it's not easy.
Of course,
I can tell you, I've learnt some lessons from a standing start 3-4 years ago, but let's not go there. But my big vision is that I think that there's a bigger market there. So, the core business, plastic kits, miniatures market, that rolls on, but I'm really concentrating on building PSC Games. That I think that there's a bigger future there.
Sure. I mean, I can just to give a clear example of the comparative opportunities. When you think the biggest in the UK, the biggest historical gaming show is Salute at Excel every year, which gets 7,000. Maybe 8 on a good year through the door, whereas Spiel in Essen gets 250,000.
Yeah, over 4 days, but still.
Still.
UK Games Expo.
Absolutely.
I went first years ago as Chiltern Miniatures.
Yes,
so over 10 years ago, and it was tiny in a Masonic lodge in Birmingham, and it was. I remember at the time because I was there on my own for the weekends trying to sell miniatures, and it wasn't a particularly good sales show for miniatures because it was more board game orientated, and that's probably when my eyes began to open. So I thought, all right, this is a small show, and it's not really a miniature show, although it's changing now. But it was the board games around me, thinking, I like this vibe. I can't tell you, I wasn't really playing board games then. Can't tell you why I like this vibe, but it seemed like a sort of a broader church. And I think that might have been the real big bang of me beginning to start to think about board games. And now I play. I really don't have much time for miniatures games. Part of it is a board game in a box, bish bash bong. In and out of box storage. It's so much easier, and I'm playing a combination of when I have got time to play. I like my Commands and Colours. You and I haven't played for a while, but the Commands and Colours games either from the box or with my 15mm Ancients or my 6mm Napoleonics.
Yeah.
And I'm playing more when I can. Family games,
Gotcha,
Catan, Terraforming Mars is something I play with a wargaming friend, Leon, but his wife doesn't play war games, so rather than she played board games. So we'll say, okay, well look, that's inclusive. We can have there's a bigger market, bigger. So with PSC Games, we're true to what we do best and know best, military things, military games. But the aim of PSC, the core aim of PSC, is producing light, fun, enjoyable war game board games and strategy games. And we're pushing the envelope a bit around that to try and move into more broader appeal war games that you're going to have non-war gamers playing. Martin Wallace is a classic. He's a really good board game, world famous. Everyone loves Martin Wallace, and we've got a game Lincoln with him at the moment, which is a good fun game, which I haven't played with you yet. We need to play that, and it's a deck builder, deck destruction board game with a war theme.
Right.
So people just who enjoy playing those sorts of games generally will enjoy playing that because it's got a war theme. It's not a war game as such.
Yeah.
And we've got our currently on Kickstarter. We've got another Commands and Colours, Richard Borg, Red Alert. So this is space warfare. So he's moving into mass space fleet battles, and again that has, I think, more of a broader appeal. Everyone loves spaceships, sci-fi, zombies, Vikings, Romans. So we're trying to commercially broaden wings, and I think that there are board gamers out there or gamers out there who don't necessarily play war games, but would enjoy. A lot of people actually at UK Games Expo, I spoke to a lot of young guys in, I think they're probably sort of 20s, that have been swept along with this, geek chic, board games, and they'll probably go to their board game cafe with their girlfriends and meet up once a week. And they're not hardcore miniatures war gamers, but they're gamers, and they're spreading their wings. They're beginning to realise that there are lots of games out there. And they were looking at the demo games we had of Battle of Britain, Red Alert, the new Richard Borg, Quartermaster General Cold War, Ian Brody, and going, I've got an interest in World War One. So we had a Great War out as well, and there was, what's that called? Spitfires on the battle, and they're kind of drawn in, and as you start explaining to them, and they go, and we were reaching new markets. That's what we want to do. So they were going, they weren't.
That's really interesting, because on the Battlegames Facebook page in the last few days, there's been a thread going on, prompted by I can't remember his name. You'll have to forgive me. There's a guy who's quite big in the sort of fantasy sci-fi gaming market. Did a post on his blog about his reaction to witnessing kind of rampant sexism, basically, in the war games sphere. And so I sort of posted a link to this, because that's of great concern to me now. And the responses that we had, something like 50 responses on my Battlegames Facebook page thread, which is, that's a long discussion for Facebook page. With lots of, generally speaking, I imagine them to be white, middle-aged, very probably well-educated guys coming on saying, well, I don't recognise this at all, And the danger is always, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But it is interesting to see, as we know. I mean, I was at Partisan a couple of weeks ago. Lovely show.
Yeah.
Where were the women?
Yeah.
Where were the kids?
Yeah.
Now, the women that were there, generally speaking, from the ones I saw, they were working on the stand.
Yeah.
So people like Sally at Callistra and Annie at Bad Squiddo Games, these people we recognise. And generally speaking, I look around and say, well, actually, yes, there's a community. The historical wargaming community is, generally speaking, consists of very courteous, polite, guys of a certain age now who would be shocked to think that there's bad behaviour. But I think there's someone else who, I don't know if I've introduced you to her, Katie Aidley, who writes about board games and stuff, and she works for a couple of board game companies helping them doing their marketing.
Oh yes,
and she, on an almost daily basis, gets abuse online and stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's terrible.
It is terrible. One of the things that has occurred to me is it could well be that most of these abusers, because it tends to be online, are keyboard heroes, and of course they may well just be adolescents. This is the thing.
Possibly.
That these are young boys who just don't know any better and haven't got proper parental control. But it is something that's of great concern to me.
Yeah.
But against that, as you say, you go to something like UK Games Expo or Spiel in Essen or whatever, and you see this vast community of perfectly normal people who want to play games with their families, who want to play games with their friends, regardless of their sex, race, colour, gender, orientation, whatever. And I think that that's something which I wish, an audience that I wish that historical miniatures wargaming could tap into. Yes. But the older I get, the more I'm thinking, I'm not sure it's ever going to happen.
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's also, speaking very bluntly, it's the subject matter, isn't it? War games, miniatures war games. Attracts more the male, the male of the species, generally speaking, and
which is an interesting factoid in itself, because it is. I kind of agree. It's a bit like whether you've got those birds of paradise out in the jungle, and it's the males who will collect all the bits of feather and sticks and what have you to attract the female. If historical wargamers think that by collecting military miniatures we're attracting females, I think we're sadly mistaken. But it is that kind of nerdiness, if you like, where we actually want to represent in miniature. Something that's because model railways are much the same, aren't they? You don't see many women involved in model railways, which is a curious thing. Whereas where you've got something that's put together in a box and presented as a game in a box, that seems to have a much broader appeal.
Exactly. I know more women that will enjoy a non-war themed game. And it's fun around the table, and I like that. It's a much more inclusive experience. I mean, I've got 2 teenage daughters, and they think I'm just as any teenage daughter. I'm an embarrassment. But they love playing Zombicide. We've had some cracking games. With the youngsters of the family, and I've got them playing Catan and Carcassonne and fun games like Camel Up. There was a game there, so they're enjoying. They do enjoy playing the games, and I know that they won't just play them for just to keep Dad happy. They're about that age when they really don't need to do that, and they'll tell me no on certain terms if they don't want to do something. That's a nice feeling that and then maybe there'll be. If there's a broadening market, then you're going to get some of those people, male or female, that are going to go, actually, yes, I've got a bit of passing interest in World War One or Napoleonics or World War Two or whatever it is, and want to try something a little different. And I'm very keen on the sort of dad-son games. Son's doing a project at school on the Battle of Britain or World War One. And because of all this, we've had all the centenaries. So it's almost like it becomes a good teaching aid. I want teachers to use, and the games that the most of the games that we're producing are easy to learn. That commands a colour system and gives them a flavour. I mean, that's just why I did at school. History teachers who form the games club, because they're also war gamers, but they were teaching history through war games. I remember recreating Rorke's Drift out on the rugby pitch.
Really?
And and that's why I love. But that probably helped me spark my interest in history. Having enthusiastic history teachers that were also
absolutely
gamers. And,
the other thing you mentioned in there, the father-son thing, which is fascinating because I remember there was actually a program on the telly documentary, I think it was last year, about model railways. And back in the old days of triangle railways, back in the early, what would have been the 1920s, 30s or whatever, and Triang used to sell the concept of model railways with this illustration of a father still in his business suit with his pipe, and the son who's just got home from school, and they're doing the model railway together. And I think it's a lovely image. It's lovely, and sadly it's one that's because of the fragmentation of the way that people's working hours and what have you, it's not so common anymore. But it's a lovely idea. One of the things I was going to say, interestingly, about your first venture into the board game market, obviously, was with the Great War stuff. Taking on subject matter that not all war gamers are terribly warm to, which is World War One, which is in terms of miniatures gaming has had a sort of troubled history because of people not getting at all turned on by the idea of attacking across no man's land and trenches and getting slaughtered and that kind of stuff. I know that, for example, Two Fat Lardies came out with a rule set, Through the Mud and the Blood, wasn't it? Where Rich quite rightly pointed out, actually there was a lot of tactical innovation going on in World War One to try and overcome this stalemate. But I think still people were kind of stuck with the kind of lions and donkeys thing.
It's like squeamishness.
Absolutely. So that's I thought that was a really interesting choice for you. How did that happen?
No real choice. In a potted history. When I decided I wanted to have a crack at board games, and I thought, well, I've got to do it with a safe bet because I'm new to this, and we've been playing Commands and Colours, so I loved Richard Borg games. So I got in contact with Richard, and lovely man, and he. We had a long chat. I remember the phone conversation. He wanted to talk to me on the phone from Florida. We had a long chat, and I said, I just come back from a World War One tour with my dad, and was very enthused. And I thought, we've got all the centenaries coming up, and oh God, wouldn't it be good to have a Commands and Colours? So I thought, right, let me track Richard down. I finally found a way to make contact, and we made contact, had a long chat. And I said, Richard, would you consider doing a World War One version of Commands and Colours for me, and just explain who I was in a minute? And he said, well, yes, but we've already designed one, and we've already got it. It's already done. And he said to be honest and to be fair, it's with Svezda, because they did the Samurai. And the owner of Svezda, I can't remember his name now, he was very keen, a bit like me, on, he's got his miniatures company, but was very keen on board games, wanted to do more board games. So it was sort of promised to them. He said, but I'm working on Tricorn as a working title, so Commands and Colours, American War of Independence. He said, would you be interested in that? And I said, yeah. And then for some reason, I think a few months went by, and we were very busy with the core business, and it took me a few months to get back round to it. So we went back to Richard a few months later and said, right, ready for Tricorn? And he said, I've Tricorn has now been promised to someone else. He said, but are you still interested in World War One? Because in the interim, very sadly, the owner of Svezda had died suddenly, and the board members and the new owners didn't have the same vision and weren't keen on board games. So he said, look, it's available. It's all there ready to go. Would you like that to start off with? Right. So I went, yes, please. So that was really how it started. And, we're rolling out the Great War, because it's that memoir thing, the core game, and then you keep the whole system going, keep the interest going, the shelf life going by, then releasing a number of expansions over a period of time.
Because you did the initial Great War, then you did the tank expansion
to introduce tanks,
and then French.
We got the French army expansion, just about to leave China, because we sold through our printing of the first print run of the Great War. Right. So we've got that just about to leave China. We've got a centenary edition of the core game and the French army expansion. The core game, centenary edition, new printing, has got improved plastic.
Right.
I went for the...
Hallelujah.
Yes, I did the rather naive... I thought I could straddle the two markets, doing nice miniatures for both parts of the market.
Yeah.
Used a different tool maker in the UK, so hence we have a few issues with the bayonets. But, of course... not being a fully fledged board gamer myself, and not understanding the market properly, we basically I made an error, and we had most of them were one piece. A couple of machine guns that needed to be assembled, but they were beautiful 15mm miniatures that were aimed at the miniatures market on the sprue. Then we had the issues with the bayonets in hard plastic, and it was like board gamers want. They want nice miniatures, but they're playing pieces. And they want to be able to play their game from the box. Punch out the punch boards, and there's a bag of minis that are semi-hard plastic, assembled off the sprue, bosh, off you go. So that was a big lesson learned, very valuable lesson learned. But it didn't seem to dent sales particularly. It's a really good game, and everyone loves Commands of Colours. So we sold through that first print run pretty quickly within 2 years. So we've got a new edition with new plastic, and the French Army expansion has got nice again semi-hard plastic assembled off the sprue, and they'll be arriving together from China in about a month's time. And then next year we're looking at doing a 1918. Spring offensives, Americans coming over, FT-17 tanks, and then I think we're going to again whiz all the way back to 1914 to early war for the next expansion the year after, and then Gallipoli. So there's a few to do. So we'll keep that rolling.
That would be interesting actually with the original BF and all the rest of it.
Yes, and then Commands of Colours, the Red Alert spaceship game. Again, there's a lot to be doing for that. So that's
Richard Borg again, the Red Alert.
Yeah.
So is that on Kickstarter at the moment?
It is at the moment, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
so how long's left on that Kickstarter?
We've been going a day.
So it's as new as that?
Yes, fresh and new. We've funded in 6 hours, which is very good.
Really? Wow.
Which was nice.
Congratulations.
Nice, thank you. So we're starting to unlock the stretch goals now. And because it's a plastic-heavy game, plastic miniatures-heavy game, they are very Kickstarter-friendly games to put on Kickstarter, because you can do a lot of extra squadrons of this and an exclusive sculpt of that, and you can buy a booster pack of that, and so there's a lot of lovely stuff to unlock on the Kickstarter, either as freebies or discounted additional buys.
I'm not usually one for sci-fi games, but that sounds really interesting. I'm going to go and look that up.
It's good fun. I know you like your Commands of Colours, so we'll get you playing. It's a big game. It's Richard's vision was, he loved that Battle Masters game, Hasbro Battle Masters they did in conjunction with Games Workshop, donkeys years ago, with a massive plastic twister-like mat you played on the floor, massive thing, and he loved the idea of that. So trying to stay true to his vision, we've gone for it's over 4 foot by over 3 foot.
Seriously,
cloth. Playing.
Oh, fantastic.
So you've got all the big hexes and stuff, but it's a big thing because it's mass space fleet warfare. It's got to look big. It's got to be epic.
Fantastic.
So it's a big game. So we've got a big cloth playing mat in there with 92 plastic spaceships.
Really?
From 10 scenes
I'm getting excited about this.
I'll get you playing it because it's brilliant. I know Richard absolutely loves it in his playtest group down in Florida, and we've had some fun here playing it. It's a joy to demo and play.
I've had a thought, but I'll talk to you afterwards about the thought I've just had.
All right.
That would be cool. Now, so the Commands of Colours things, the Richard Borg, the hex-based stuff, I mean, that's obviously a particular thread and obviously a profitable one for you. That's been a brilliant association that you've grown there, which is fantastic. Then there was this other thing that came along that actually I confess I was involved with playtesting with you, which was the Battle of Britain game.
Yes.
Which is completely different.
Yes.
Doesn't use hexes, uses sort of overlapping offset squares and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's completely different from anything else I'd ever played.
Yes.
And when I first saw it, I seem to remember the first couple of times we played it, it's like, I'm not sure about this. But then it's almost like the penny drops.
Yes.
And it's a really clever combination of tactical and strategic decision making.
It is, isn't it? It's a good blend.
That happens to have pretty miniature planes.
Yes.
And we won't dwell too long. I know you had some problems with, with bendy wings.
Bless his heart. It's been a bit of a problem child. It's a lovely game. But
let's not dwell on the bendy wings.
Yeah.
So, but how did the Battle of Britain game come about? Because that's Richard Borg again, isn't it?
It's an old TSR game from 20 odd years ago. One of those horrible long boxes that they used to have. A horrible thing. And a friend of mine, Leon, we were chatting one night, so it's way back, and we were talking about games. He said, "Oh, hang on, I've got this." He rummaged around in his cupboard and found this old battered copy. He says, "Oh yeah, this was a game back in the day." And we looked at it, interesting. And we just didn't think any more of it. And then we came back to it for some reason a few weeks later. And I was having a look at the rules. Because it was all around the 75th anniversary of the
Battle of Britain.
And I was looking at the rules, and a little name popped out on the credits: Richard Borg. But it wasn't the sort of lead designer; it was like a sort of developed by Richard Borg, or whatever. Yeah. I thought, but he was involved. That's interesting. And I think again, I was getting very excited about the anniversary of the Battle of Britain and lots of Spitfires. Well, we love Spitfires, all of us. And I thought. I was in one of my creative modes. I thought, So I emailed Richard and said, Richard, a friend of mine's got this old game, and it might be interesting to do a reboot of it with all the anniversaries, modernise it and all that. I said, do you know? I forget the guy's name. He said, are you in touch with this guy? Do you know where the rights are and this, that, and the other? And he came straight to me. So he said, actually, the rights are with me. It's my game. And he said, it's a long story short, he's a good friend of mine, and it was more of an ego thing. So for him, I let him put his name on the front of the box, and I just said I was developer. But he said, it's basically my game, and I own the rights to it. So I said, Richard, do you want to update it, modernise it for us, and And he got enthusiastic as I did. I think it was all around going down to watch the Big Wing thing down at Goodwood. They had about 40, 50 Spitfires and Hurricanes all together. Anyway, I got very, very enthusiastic. Yeah. So Richard he didn't just, change a couple of commas. Yeah. He spent some time with his group and upgraded it. I think you and I might have played the original.
Yeah,
and
because I remember
of the
I you were asking me for feedback and with the credit in the book, because obviously some of the stuff that I mentioned is like, it's actually been incorporated.
We played a couple of games, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I think it was actually probably about 3 or 4 in the end we played.
I think we did, So he has made it a more modern, upgraded game, and to fit into that 2-hour sort of slot, I think is a modern time slot for a game. Beautiful artwork. I got Jim Laurier, who's one of the best aviation artists. Did a lovely front cover.
Yeah, beautiful.
We got some nice pretty planes designed. And then, ironically, Plastic Soldier Company, you should be making good plastics, screwed up the plastics. I have to hold up my hand to it. I didn't manage my Chinese. This was the first time I went to China.
Oh, right.
I've been in Germany all before, so it was all a little bit... not first time, but it was a new Chinese manufacturer.
Right.
And I screwed things up, So it was late, it was been one of those sort of...
learning curve.
Problematic that not one thing goes wrong, but everything goes wrong with
Anything that can go wrong
has gone wrong with it, which is a shame because it's such a good game.
Yeah.
But now we've got it right. I've had to with the bendy wings. The irony is, of course, is that then we've gone to we went to right. It's going to be pre-assembled. Wargamer friendly. You can't break them.
Yeah,
they're durable as hell.
Yeah.
But then didn't get the plastic right with the manufacturer, and it was mainly my fault. But what I did sign off wasn't what was sent, so there were issues on the Chinese side. Yeah. But it was like we struggled on with it a bit, and people, they're all bendy, and it's I've got to bite. I have to bite the bullet. You have to get these things right. Yeah. I don't like things that aren't right. So it was.
And the trouble is when things are on Kickstarter as well. I mean, gosh, you get shall we say a vociferous audience on Kickstarter?
Let's just. But that's symptomatic again of modern times, the hobby in general, board games, tabletop games. Let's say just just modern life.
Yeah.
Social media and the internet
Absolutely.
is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And, the vast majority of our customers are lovely.
Yeah.
But there's that there's a very vocal minority, the keyboard warriors, that, wouldn't come up to say to your face, but will snipe at every possibility. But anyway, so it was got it wrong, so hands up and get it right.
Yeah.
We won't make any money on the game, but it had to be done properly because it's a good game.
But also, I think it was an honourable thing for you to do. Because first of all, I think it's a lovely game.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think it's another thing that makes it lovely is it does, certainly for British audiences, it does commemorate a very specific thing in our history, which is remarkable and will remain so.
Yes.
Thirdly, actually, it's a really, really good game. And as I say, it was a real surprise to me because, it took me a while to get my head around, what's it doing? Hang on, is this strategic or is it tactical? No, hang on.
Actually, I remember that now, yes. Yeah. And then suddenly you clicked, didn't you?
Yes, there was an adjustment that was made in the rules. I can't remember, so maybe it was to do with dogfighting or something. I can't remember exactly what it was now, because it's a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
But we'd made a suggestion to him or raised this issue, because I remember you making copious notes while I was ranting about something. And you came back and he said, oh, yeah, actually, good point. And he tweaked it, and then it was absolutely fine. And as I say, to me, it was a real a surprise that I discovered a kind of game I didn't think I would ever enjoy playing. Because I am pretty much a dyed-in-the-wool miniatures man. But in recent years, there's been a few board type games like Commands and Colours, like the Battle of Britain, like there's always been that crossover game, Wings of Glory or Wings of War as it used to be, and now Sails of Glory as well. I've got a set of that, and Guy and I've tried it once, and actually it's like, actually that's quite fun. I want to play that with you, actually. So, this is of interest to me. So, and then the next question, obviously, is after that, and now you've got the red alert happening. Future plans? Anything you can reveal? Because obviously, I've got things. I remember us discussing. Think of all those kind of Commands and Colours things that haven't been done yet.
And
one of the things that slightly
there was something that you and I got you playing. Yes and no. Nothing I can reveal at this stage. But you remember you and I tinkering with something very close to my heart and your heart too, an historical gap there. There's also there's some Commands and Colours projects bubbling along.
Because there's also there was the other thing that was a bit of a shame was because you and I, I'm a big fan of the 18th century, obviously, and then Tricorn came out, but from the other company. The other thing that's frustrating for me for that, of course, that's American War of Independence, and I'm a kind of European 18th century kind of guy.
Let's just say that the European side of the 18th century, the Wars of Spanish Succession, the 7 Years' War, that might rear its head at some point. But there are some gaps. There are some gaps.
You heard it here first, folks.
Well, no, don't run away with that.
No, I shan't run away.
It's I'll just say that. There's a few little gaps, shall we say? But the space thing, I think, is being very close to Richard's heart.
Sure, and that could be big, of course, because it's moving into that much bigger sci-fi and stuff.
And that's the spacey bit, and then there's a planetfall bit. But anyway, let's leave that there. But so there are some projects there with Richard that are bubbling along nicely. Okay, is all I'll say. So next time we podcast, I'm sure I'll be able to tell you more. But then we're rolling out the Quartermaster General series for that sort of light Euro strategy game. We've got the Cold War version coming out in Essen in October, which should be fun. It's taking that Quartermaster General engine, card-driven thing, and putting a Cold War theme on it. And this is now 3 factions, not 2, which is interesting. And it plays very well like that. So it's 3 to 6 players. So you either play 3 of you, or well, you can play 4 or 5, but it could be up to 3 teams of 2.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Each playing and you're working together.
Because I've not played any quartermaster generally.
No, again, it appeals also to non war gamers. So we've got some Martin Wallace titles. We've got Lincoln, and we've got some other Martin Wallace stuff bubbling for next year and beyond. We've working with Lou Pulsiver, who he wrote Britannia. Way back, which back in the day, I mean, it was an Avalon Hill, then Fancy Flight Games did a version of a very well regarded game back in the day for war game gamers.
Do you remember? I dug out a photograph for you, didn't I? I saw a version of that being played at Selwyn,
somebody
at Crystal
did it with,
Palace.
Yes.
But they actually built
the
map of Britain board?
Yes, you did. It's
that was ages ago.
That's that is a lovely old game, and Lou is a guy that he's a well respected designer, and he's retired recently from teaching game design at North Carolina State.
Oh, really?
But he's got lots of games out there, or we've got a few of his games contracted here, or we're looking at. So he's another good name in our stable. We're working on a game for next year, and hopefully with other projects as well, with a very talented young Hungarian game designer, David Terzi, who lives in London. And if you're not a board gamer, you won't know it. But he did a very good game called Anachrony, which is very well regarded as a sci-fi worker placement Euro board game that's done very well. So people would know him from that. And he's done a very interesting, just been on Kickstarter, again, like a war game, board game, Euro style war game about the Hungarian rising in 1956 in Budapest. Very interesting subject matter. Of course, he's Hungarian, so very good game. Knights of Fire. I'm building. I've got a nice little stable of good name designers in there, which for a small but growing board games publishing business, you need to have big names.
Absolutely.
And Dan Mersey, everyone knows the name in the miniatures market. For Lion Rampant and
Dark Ages and stuff.
Yes, and stuff like that. He works at the Plastic Soldier Company as project manager. But we've also got some board game projects with him that he's created some board games because he loves board games. So he's wanting to branch out into from his miniatures miniature side of things. So we've got a couple of very interesting games coming up with Dan next year. So he's kind of like he's one of our publishers, one of our designers, but he also works for the for PSC as well. But we've got some lovely light war games with him, which I think people will enjoy.
Brilliant. Now, I'm really pleased to see that Dan's found a home here. Because obviously he worked in publishing for a long time, and then he was made redundant, I think, wasn't he? And then tried freelancing for a while. And as I know, freelancing isn't for everyone.
It's hard.
So I was really glad to see that you teamed
Dan
up with
is a good man. Dan is brilliant. He brings all that years of experience publishing books.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's huge experience with that, which is what we need. He's very organised, and he's a gamer.
Absolutely.
So, I've got someone that I can bounce ideas off. So he's brilliant. He's a real asset to Plastic Soldier.
I bet you like him as well because he tends to roll really bad dice.
He is possibly one of the most unlucky gamers. I know there's let the Wookiee win or playing golf with the boss. But he still seems to roll an awful number of ones.
Poor Dan. But the thing is, he's been on the show and he's admitted it himself that, and I know when I play him, there's sometimes it's embarrassing. Dan, just roll those again, mate. Roll those again.
Yeah, just to forget that, just re-roll them.
We've been yakkering
for
quite
a long time,
but I just want to wrap up because. Right at the beginning of the show, you said you were recovering from UK Games Expo. So just tell us a bit about how you found the show, and what the experience was like for you this year, because it's got so much bigger.
Every year is growing, which is brilliant. It's mirroring the growth of the gaming industry around the world. It's becoming a mini Essen, and it's 3 days of intense showing and telling. It's you're selling product, but it's not the supermarket checkout of Salute. You're there demonstrating games either have just coming out, or will be on Kickstarter next week, or future stuff. So there's a lot of showing the general public your flag flying. Yeah. So you're showing off your coming soon, showing off your wares. A lot of talking to, because all the other publishers are there, distributors, designers, media, big media presence. So it's a blur at all. My voice is just starting to come back.
Yeah, you've managed all right today.
I've managed to talk a lot, haven't I? But yes, it's 3 days of intensive. It's a shop window for Boardgames.
Yeah.
Boardgames and miniatures, there are obviously crossovers between the two markets, two areas, but they are also very distinct, and the shows are very distinct. But it was a brilliant show.
So very positive feeling in amongst that sector of the industry.
Yes, and as I say, there was a lot of people that hadn't heard of Plastic Soldier, don't really war game, but game, and were interested in these sort of, these crossover war games. So we want to appeal to non-war gamers.
Yeah, this is of course motto. Where that sub-brand of PSC Games is useful, because people don't even necessarily need to know it stands for Plastic Soldier Company. It's just a brand, PSC Games, isn't it?
And then people that do know Plastic Soldier Company will think, oh, that's PSC Games, there's a link. So it kind of works on both levels. Yeah.
So any idea how many people they get through the doors over the 3 days?
Oh, I think I heard someone say there were about 40,000 people over 3 days, maybe even more. I mean, I say every year it grows.
That is astonishing.
It is. It's a real growth.
Growth and that's area. A pay-to-enter show, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you know what people pay on the door?
Oh, I can't remember now.
10 or something?
It's not cheap, but people pay.
But that gives you an indication of the sort of turnover they're getting.
Yes. So from humble beginnings, the guys have done really well.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Will, we probably ought to stop there.
Yes.
We've been yakking for kind of an hour and a half or so, and there's not a great deal to edit out. I think maybe a couple of aeroplanes going over, whatever. Thank you so much for having a chat with us. I'm sure the listeners are going to be fascinated hearing not only about the origins of your company, but also your plans for the future. Really interesting to hear the balance is shifting between the what I associated you with originally, which was the World War II plastic kits, and the shift towards board games, and the kind of stable of designers that you've built up, which is absolutely brilliant. Sounds like the future's bright for you, Will.
Thank you. Yes.
No doubt we'll be talking again, and I'll be talking to your minion Dan as well. Minion doesn't seem
don't let him hear you say that. Yeah,
he's not a minion, not in any sense of the word.
Absolutely not.
But and I just hope that we get to roll some dice again soon.
Very soon, I hope.
It's been a real pleasure, Will. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you, Henry. Pleasure. Thank you.